Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Gate podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by Alias Sport CBD products. I have here the Chill Oil, which is about to be released to the public. It is awesome for anxiety, inflammation, pain management, if you just want to chill. Alias has natural CBD products, no synthetic bullcrap, just naturally derived CBD, extracted with CO2, all the good stuff. Um, it's great, man. I love it. AJ loves it. It's a great natural alternative to painkillers, anti-inflammatories, all that good stuff. It has all those properties from a natural product. So it's delicious. It helps. Check out their pain bomb, which AJ, you need to flash that again because they can't see the video. But AJ has the pain bomb, which is CBD infused balm. You could rub it on sore muscles, aches, pains, all that good stuff. So check them out, aliasport.com. 30% off if you use code AJCAT30. It's a great deal, great company, local to the Northeast. Go check them out, guys. Aliasport.com. Now,
this podcast, son of a- we were going so
we
good.
were going smooth, but
we were going so good.
But all the talk about pain and pain management led me to think like after CBD, it can only do so much if you're constantly beating your body up. If you're on the bike, you need something to come home to combined with the CBD to alleviate a lot of pressure on those sore joints, particularly your back. And I think you, AJ, have the perfect product for that.
I certainly do, Bryce. And that product is the Mavix M9 chair that I'm sitting on. And this thing is quite spectacular. We have a couple key features that I want to talk about today, Bryce. Firstly, the DVL system. It has a dynamic variable lumbar system, which means that where my lower back lies, it's got a whole bunch of adjustment, just like this. Just any way that I want it to go, it adjusts because, my lower back is in pain all the time. So when I sit on this chair, I can adjust that for my lumbar support and we're dialed in. Also, I got a hot butt. I was waiting for some sort of reaction there.
Yeah, it usually looks wet from behind all the time.
Yes.
Not luckily, so in that chair.
Luckily, Bryce, for anybody that's got a hot butt like myself, the Mavix M9 chair has a cool gel M foam, which stays cool all the time. Keep that hot butt nice and cold. Also, it's not too squishy. It's not too firm. Perfect amount of give. This thing's comfortable, man. We could just sit here and chat until nobody listens, and I'm still comfortable the whole time.
Which happens all the time. All the time.
But I'll tell people where to go to get this thing.
Please do.
You can go to Mavix.com. That's Mavix. You can see it behind me if you're watching the podcast.
It's a good-looking chair, man. It's a good-looking chair.
It actually is.
It's very futuristic, sharp-looking chair.
And very functional. Mavix.com/AJ Mavix, and you can use code AJ Mavix. That's Mavix for what do you get with that? You get a free footrest if you buy this chair, which is pretty cool because I don't even have the footrest. So Mavix, can you send me a footrest, please? Mavix.com/AJ Mavix. Use code AJ Mavix, and you get a free footrest.
Awesome.
All right, Bryce, you want to take it away?
Sure. This episode, we had Jay Cavanaugh, who is the founder, owner, and principal mind coach of RAK-Racing and is now a new venture called The Vibe Mindset. So Jay's been on the podcast before. He works with AJ on a daily basis as a mental coach. He offers training for improvement in the mental game, whether you're an athlete or a professional or a person who just wants to get better at the mental side of things in life. And we had an awesome conversation with Jay. He's a really good time. He knows his shit. He's passionate about Supercross. And we had a great time with him. It was a lot of fun. So we really hope you enjoy the show and the episode. And if you make it to the end, we really want to know. I think we called you out and said, DM us if you hear this message. So
let us know. You make it to the end of the podcast, let us know. DM
there might be something in it for you, in the way of a giveaway.
DM Behind the Gate podcast on Instagram. Let us know if you're that guy or girl that listens to the end of these episodes, because we always get to the end and we get so fed up and bored of each other that we can't imagine that anybody else is listening along with us. But
we honestly just resent where the whole conversation went. We're like, how did we get here?
Oh, and I feel like I said something funny and stupid at the end. I can't remember, but welcome back. I'm sure it's been a while. We recorded an episode. He didn't press record. So this is first episode back after a little hiatus. We're going to be consistent with them moving forward. I know we've said that.
We have said that 10 times. So thank you to our loyal listeners who've stuck with us so far. Oh, I know it's not a laughing matter. But without any further ado, let's get into it. Welcome, Jay Cavanaugh.
Well, at least I got good lighting. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll give you guys the W for audio, but I'm going to take the W for background color.
Yeah, 100%.
I could get background color if I got fancy with it, but I'm using my other studio light as my GoPro stand.
It's a little harsh. The lighting's a little harsh.
For me.
It's very train spotting. That's what I'm getting out of
it.
I don't know. I don't understand that reference.
Okay, you look like you just walked off the set of Requiem for a Dream. I
don't know that reference either.
Okay, you look like a heroin addict in a heroin den. That's about as simple as I can make it.
It's true, but you're selling caffeine through a Black Rifle coffee company. So
why, dude, it's so bright. Why
don't you push it further back? Further away from the victim. I mean, you.
Yeah, away from the victim, AJ.
Like, look at Bryce. He's got
his looks good.
This is a serious investment. Amazon really came through.
Even my lighting is really good for my teeth. Watch this. I don't even go to the dentist, but watch this.
Hey,
this is all making the show, by the way. We're recording.
For my Jitsi Tales podcast, my teeth look really white, and I'm not sure how they look so white, but they look great.
Is that like space for a plug?
That's how we're gonna enter into this.
Yeah.
Is this really live? Just so I know not to swear.
It's not live, but we're recording. You heard about our last debacle, right, Jay?
Yeah, you never hit the record button. Why is that?
Oh, god damn.
Hey, how does my color look any better now?
I can't even describe what you look. Kind of like a dinosaur.
What do you mean?
If I was AJ, if you were to send a ransom video to someone, this would be your lighting.
You know what you look like? You look like a baby chicken, in an incubator.
Yeah, at the Big E. Oh my god, it's so true.
With some heat lamp on you, and it's the only way you could survive.
And you're getting stomped on by all the other chickens, the little chicks that were born like a minute and a half before you.
Just do what you did in Gypsy Tale. Oh wait, no, you can't. Never mind.
What? Yeah, I had 2 lights aimed at me.
Two lights, a better camera. It's okay.
Are we doing video on this, or is this all?
Yeah. This is video.
Is this better?
Talk again.
What? No, not my audio. I know,
but when you talk, you get big on my screen.
Oh.
Yeah. Wipe off your lens. It definitely has some crap on it. For real, there's a big smudge and a glare.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that's on my lens, oddly enough. But what else would that be from?
It's glare from your light.
Could be glare.
You're getting what's called lens flare.
Yeah, which
J.J. Abrams is directing this podcast.
What about now?
That's perfect.
Actually,
little dungeony, but it's better than it was.
Right,
what is that? You have a spotlight? What is that?
It's my studio light. I'm just literally rotating in circles. Let me know when it looks best.
What kind of studio?
It's terrible.
What is this?
Yeah. It's not diffusing any light whatsoever.
No,
it's just
the problem is it's literally on top of me.
Okay.
AJ, I sent you a message with this exact lighting, the specs, and it was cheap.
I got pretty. No. I pretty much got the same thing, but the problem is I'm sitting right next to it.
It's on him. He's eating.
It's literally almost inside of me.
Why don't you turn that light off and just rely entirely on your computer light?
That might be a good idea.
Turn your brightness all the way up. Let's see that.
We could tell ghost stories. How do I turn my freaking brightness up on this Mac?
On the top of the control panel.
System preferences. Oh wait, no, I don't have.
You don't have a button on your keyboard?
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
This is going to make for a great episode. This is a perfect beginning.
There once was a man from Nantucket. Is that actually a ghost story or is that a joke?
I thought that was my autobiography. AJ's like, what does that mean?
We're usually pretty good with these references. Okay, so this is my computer layout, max all the way out. That's not good enough.
Honestly, that's better than the spotlight.
Yeah, let's stick with it.
Honestly,
Really?
God, it is. I promise you, it is.
Wow.
It just like looked, honestly, like an incubator.
Yep.
Now turn it back on. Turn it back on.
Well,
there's
I
people
could
that
do
are
computer
listening
brightness
to
like
this
that.
right now that
Jay,
want to
yours,
learn how
Jay,
to
yours
loop
looks so good.
and do a 110-foot triple. Have we delivered on that request yet?
We're getting there. We like to build anticipation.
All right.
We crescendo the podcast.
This light thing, I mean, is this?
Hey, this is better.
It
Yeah.
is better. It is
Yeah.
better. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so-
That's very like it's very
Okay, so this is
Xbox.
computer screen on the Faye, and then I got studio light aimed at the wall behind me.
I like it.
I like it.
Okay.
I don't like I mean Jay looks like he's in a strip club.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Jay, where are the strippers?
They don't call anymore.
Same
They
here.
did call. You know what? I mean, let's be honest. We've all dated a stripper, right? So
Oh yeah, that's something we could all check off.
It's literally the worst decision you can ever make. And you think you're gonna fix and change them, but you're not.
How many strippers have you dated?
I have
that
gone
much
on
of
a
an
date with a
anecdote?
girl that ended up being a stripper.
Really? My
Mm.
mom is a stripper.
Mm.
So
Bed
Yes.
stripper.
what?
She strips the bed every morning. Is she a bed stripper?
Yeah. Do you have a
This is
stripper
actually
pole in your
pretty
house, AJ?
Do I what?
I'm just trying to fill in a fantasy gap in my head. Do you have a stripper pole in your house?
2 of them.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is that something you'd be interested in putting in your house?
I have one in my podcast studio, obviously,
Yeah. You practice regularly, I'm sure.
and then there's one in the garage where I do my bike work.
Oh, okay. So in between now, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. See, I caught you in a lie because you just
Oh.
said when you do your bike work, and I know that's bullshit.
I do air filters.
Okay.
Rarely.
Anyway, hey Jay, how the hell are you, man?
I'm great. I'm happy, and I just played setback with my family and won $20, so I'm $20 richer.
Do you
Congratulations.
participate in anything where you don't wager something or put stakes? You're like a stakes guy. You always put some sort of stakes, whether it's like consequential or completely ridiculous. There's always some sort of stakes, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, when it's family fun, eventually your parents are going to die, right? So you're going to get it back.
Oh, that's a good
Point.
way to look at
Good
it.
point.
Oh God. So fill us in, man. Like it's been a while since you were last on the show. Obviously, we're just down with AJ at the academy with Jet. What have you been up to? I know you're busy. Your Vibe Mindset is taken off. Your RAK-Racing obviously has been successful. Fill us in. Like, what have you been up to the last 3-4 months?
So for those who don't know who I am, I'm Dr. J. Cavanaugh of RAK-Racing. I'm a mental skills coach. Anyways, there was no formal intro, was there?
We don't do those.
We don't, but we
Oh, we don't do
will
intro.
do.
No. We
Grace
do
and I
them
will do an
after. We
intro
do them.
after.
We do them post recording.
Oh, okay. Well, now it's intro reporting. So anyways, to answer your question, sorry. See,
I see.
So anyways, to answer
You're
your
fired.
question, things are going well. We're actually taking some risks starting Friday. So running my first Racer X ad on their digital marketing platform. We're doing a 3-day run. Worked on the digital assets today. I basically have my one-on-one coaching group has been full for quite some time. And the novice and amateur group, which is a private group on Instagram, has really been a ton of fun. And so we're looking to start promoting it and blow that up a little bit. And so that's where the energy and focus has been going. And I'm writing a book for the Vibe Mindset, which is I wanted something outside of moto because I felt like all my eggs were in one basket. So with Easter coming, I figured maybe I should shift some of those eggs to another basket.
Mm.
And so we're working on, actually, I'm writing a book. And, funny thing, I keep thinking about how cool this kind of is, but if you know these people, then it's cool. If you don't, then it's not cool. But remember that book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff?
Of course.
So the writer passed away, but his wife Ashley was on a Zoom call with 2 days ago. She has a book group where she's a writer as well. And so I might join her group to get my book launched. I wrote one book in the past before, but it was a smaller book, but this one's going to be a little bigger, but this is more on vibe, energy, consciousness, self-awareness. And it's not just for moto, it's for anyone that wants to just feel a better vibe. It's called The Vibe Mindset. That's the name of the book. And it's how to use your thoughts, feelings, and actions to change your life. So yeah, I mean, writing a book's kind of cool. And I just want to leave a legacy, man. I'm not like you. I don't have a kid who can like make me look better in 15, 20 years than I might be. And so I need something to leave behind. I don't want to check out from this world and not like have something where it's like I helped out.
And what's underrated about the whole deal, Jay, is like the conversations you and I have. I know a lot of it is motocross focused, obviously, but the average person could and should be using all of that. And the average person is not. It's actually sad. Like I don't know. It's almost like when I do lessons and I say, okay, one of the big problems I see is that you guys are aimlessly riding laps around the track. There's no goal, there's no purpose as to why you're out there. I get it, you're having fun, you're just aimlessly spinning laps, but you're just spinning laps with there's no purpose. It's almost the same thing. There's a lot of people I feel like that are sort of navigating through life that same way. They're going through the motions, they're going to work. A lot of people don't like their job and they're not thinking about all of these little things that make a huge, I mean, it is also easy to say, like, in my situation, everything is working out. And so it's easy for that person to be the guy that's like, oh, well, if you just work hard, it will all work out. But I feel like it could happen and should and would happen with anybody, right? I don't know, because I would always listen to that and I'd be like, well, really? Because I'm freaking working my butt off and it doesn't seem to be working. But now I'm like, I'm sitting here in this position, like, if you work hard, it will eventually figure itself out in one way or another.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, well, think about how many times you failed, right? I mean, think about how many times you struggled, how many times you slept in, the back of a van, or, 5 people were in a hotel room. And I think what people need to focus on is changing your perspective on failure, right? So the only reason you're, in my opinion, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel that you're where you are because you sacrificed, gave up so much, but also failed, broke an arm, broke a leg, did whatever, right? And then you failed and failed and failed and failed, like all of us that succeed. But then failure wasn't your stopping or breaking point. Failure to you was a speed bump on the process of life on the way to heading towards your goals. And it's like people don't realize that is the key, is to change your perspective on failure and look at it as an opportunity to grow, but not some sort of like roadblock to just say, hey, hit the brakes, turn off the vehicle, and like step out of the car, which is what most people do. It's like, no, go over the bump, figure out what you can learn from it, and push forward.
My wife gave me a good analogy recently because I was having a hard time. I felt a little stuck, and I couldn't really put my finger on why. And Jay, to tell you the truth, I rely really heavily on a lot of our conversations because you have great advice. I mean, whether you're like out seeking it or not, you've had a profound impact on me, and I find myself thinking about back to our conversations. And I use the reset is something that I use very regularly to shift my mind, like as I feel myself going down a bad path, or I'm, you know, just not going in the direction I want to go, I use that kind of verbal cue to myself. All right, reset. Like we're not gonna go here. We're gonna go there. Um, but I found myself like in a particularly difficult situation. I was like, why? I was like, getting frustrated with myself. Why can't I get beyond this barrier? And my wife was like, and I think this might resonate for a lot of people. She's like, Bryce, you know how when you look at somebody who's like overweight or inactive, and you're like, why don't they just work out? Why don't they just eat better? It's it's exactly the same in the mindset. Like you need to, if you're not disciplined, like you, all three of us we're lucky in that we have that self-discipline. We can go work out. We have that self-motivation to do the physical thing. But if you're not that type of person mentally, well then you need a trainer, you need a coach, you need somebody to guide you down that road. And that's where like what you're doing is so beneficial, and you can see it directly translate, especially this season in motocross, because all the top guys they're saying my mental game is improved because I'm working with a mental coach. So it's really
Yeah, it's
cool to see.
huge. And when it's all said and done, you said, you kind of alluded to one topic which is huge, which is you can have all the resources in the world right in front of you, but if your identity is that of, you got to fill in the blank to this. I'm the type of person that, right? Whatever comes after that, that's what's guiding you. You could have $1 million in the bank and be able to hire any chef, weight plan, personal trainer. But if I'm the type of person who doesn't align with someone who either is fit or someone who doesn't take chances, or if you're the type of person who, or our family is the type of family that never really thought we'd ever become in the medical field, we never become rich, we never become successful, then what happens is when you identify with some sort of trait or some sort of persona, your thoughts, feelings, and actions align with that identity. So the tough work, if you really want to make change, you got to change who you are. You got to break the habit of being yourself. And that is where the tough work comes from, because who you are is a culmination of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So that's everything. So you have to manage your thoughts, you have to manage your feelings and your actions on a regular basis and create a shift that breaks the pattern of being you and detaching from your identity to truly create like lasting foundational change. And that is a heavy ask.
And it's a lot. It's constant work. Jay, you and I do it all the time, and I haven't WhatsApped you in the last 10 days. And I constantly am like, man, I need to get with Jay, because guess what? I had traction going, we have momentum, and then all of a sudden I get, where am I air quoting? I get busy. I shouldn't air quote because I'm obviously really busy. I get busy, and then we don't go back to square one, but it's like we have a setback with it. It takes constant conscious thought to be good at it. And a
It's
lot
like
of people,
training anything, really.
yeah, right.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
100%. And I think that at least creating an awareness of the mental game, or lack of a better term, is so important. Not just if you're an athlete. I mean, obviously it's everything if you're an athlete, but I'd argue that it's everything if not. I take for granted a lot of the ways that I think, just as a competitive person, as an athlete, but in my normal life. I take for granted that I have the positive outlook in certain situations. I know how to reset in certain situations. And a lot of that would happen almost instinctively, it seemed. I don't know if it was like from my competitive background or where that came from, if it was just genetic. I don't think I don't think a lot of people have that. And man, I'm doing a terrible job of talking today, but I will say, like, this is a huge, huge, huge part of my life in every aspect, especially the whole business side of things now. Because there's way more losses than there are wins. If you could look at it one way, I've my entire career up to the last 12 months was filled with losses, but I just never looked at it that way. until you actually said it 5-10 minutes ago, I never looked at it that way. But if I go back, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that was a loss. Right? Yeah, this was a loss. But I would just like was so in the zone. I thought it was so much a part of the process that I just believed in it. I kept going, and then it's not a loss anymore. But there's, I don't know, man. My brain's fried. I got sunburn. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I mean, there's certain skills, right? Like Bryce, I mean, even with all of us, right? Like you're not taught the basics. Like think about it. How often are you going to be, is there going to be a death that you're going to have to deal with? Like one of my pro riders, like literally right before I got on this call, messaged me and his pet died. And he's hardcore into his pets or his family. He's bawling. So a professional motorcycle racer just bawling on the phone to me because, you know, but we don't even talk about how to deal with death. Like you're never taught how to deal with death. I don't even think your parents talk about it. So if school doesn't teach it and your parents don't teach it, right? Then how are you going to learn it? How do you learn the art of letting go? Which to me, the more I do this, the more I realize it's consciousness, it's letting go, it's where do you focus your attention? There's so many simple things. But once again, you've said it yourself several times. I don't know if you call yourself AJ, but you said the words conscious and awareness several times since we started this. And that's all of it. Because if you don't consciously realize where you're at, then how do you know what direction to go? You know, and what I tell my students is whatever you focus on expands. If you could just remember anything from this podcast and just remember what you focus on expands, it's huge. Because if you think about something that went wrong in your life and you keep focusing on it, it gets bigger. The more you focus on it, because your focus in your attention is energy. And if you put your energy into something, it gets bigger. And if you get that in your head and you start to conceptualize it, you start to say, wait a minute, I'm focusing my attention over here. And that's why this problem's getting bigger. Whoa, I should stop. Where can I shift my attention to make something else more important that serves me bigger? And I think that's a huge skill. But once again, does anyone teach it? No. Why does no one teach it? One, I don't know. But two, I also feel there's a stigma around all of it. Like I spend half my time trying to figure out how to label myself, because if I use the word mental skills, just the word mental, I think is a barrier for people. Like mental skills, I don't have a mental problem. I didn't see
why is that? I wonder. Where did the stigma begin? Because you're totally right. It's almost, it puts you in a category of like woo woo.
You're right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, AJ.
Why is that?
I don't
because
know.
that's ridiculous.
Well, it's just the word. What is the word? Like it like take out me and take out this podcast topic, right? And just if someone used the word mental, if you're at a bar, you're not thinking about me, you're not thinking about racing, someone used the word mental, what do you immediately think of? I would think of something. I want to hear what you guys would think of. What would you think of?
Just the word mental?
Just the word mental. Just
crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to answer your question, AJ, I think it's just, not to get into a huge side tangent, but I really think that has a lot to do with like the stigmatizing of mental health. I mean, across the board, right? I mean, even like the smallest things like, oh, you know, if you need a counselor, if you need therapy, think of like even watching a TV show where somebody needs therapy. It's always painted in a negative light. You know what I mean? It's never like, you know, this is as beneficial, if not more, than a personal trainer. People like go on Instagram, everybody wants to be a personal trainer, everybody wants to get their certificate, everybody wants to like go to the gym, get ripped, like work with a trainer and get better physically. That's somehow held in such high esteem. And yet the mental side, which if you master that, the physical progress will come. It's stigmatized almost. So
I think that's the answer right there, really. Because I'm trying to think. I have never seen it shown in a positive light. I've never watched a TV show where an athlete has gone to get mental coach. It's always on the negative side, right? It's always like, oh, I have a problem. I have a bad marriage, this, that. And I'm going to talk to somebody. So maybe it could be as simple as that.
If anybody's listening who knows of a show or a movie or a scene that has an athlete or somebody going to mental coaching for benefit, I'd love to know. We could play it as a clip. I'm sure they're out there, but yeah, I mean,
and it's just such a bum. I'm trying to turn my headphones up here.
I forgive you.
You guys, any ideas, guys? How do I do that?
Jay, do you when you have a student that comes on with you call them students, clients,
It's funny. I never thought about this, but I call the people that I work one-on-one clients, the few handful of people I work with one-on-one clients, and for some reason I call my younger private Instagram group students. I don't know why there is that distinction.
Well, at least you don't do this. So, side note, as part of my day job, I was recently in a psychiatric. I won't go into too much detail, but I was inside of a psychiatric hospital, and there was another individual from another organization who was clearly never been into one of these facilities before, and is not to diagnose this person, but there was she just had a couple little screws loose. She was pretty young. You could tell she was like really kind of wigged out about being there. So at one point, like walking through this facility, the people who are giving us the walkthrough, she's like, "So are there actual psychos in here?" Like completely, absolutely no wherewithal whatsoever for the fact that like we're inside of a psychiatric hospital, and we're like, "What did you just say?" So we kind of like ignored it. But then later, she's like, "So what did these psychos do to get in here? Are they all like crazy?" I'm like, so then like a couple of us were like, I'm sorry, you're being unbelievably disrespectful right now. Like what she had, but it goes to show like clearly this person clearly had social problems, but it goes to show that this there is a negative connotation when you think about mental health, and it becomes this thing where like, oh, you're a psycho or you're impaired for some reason, but that's just not the case. I use myself as a perfect example because I am almost the opposite in AJ like looks at all of these failures and it's just part of the process and has gotten to where he is because he just kind of worked through all that. Me, I get on myself so terribly hard with even the slightest inkling of failure.
Why?
I don't
Well,
know.
how does it serve you?
It doesn't at all whatsoever.
Then
It
why do you
doesn't.
do it?
Yeah, listen, man, this is part of my process is trying to figure that out. I was talking to someone recently. It's like she asked me, do you respond better to positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement? So the idea of like a reward or um, affirmation, or on the contrary, do you respond to like, if you don't do this or if you fail, then this consequence will happen? Me personally, I am 100% on the I respond better to positive reinforcement. If I do something, doesn't matter how trivial, if it's viewed as quote good, I want somebody to be like, "Wow, Bryce, good job. You did this. You did good. You did great. That looks good." I text AJ a picture of this of something. Oh, cool. Like whatever it is, I like the positive reinforcement. I shut down entirely on the negative reinforcement thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, everyone works differently. Everyone has some sort of inherent goal and agenda that they have, and most people fear loss more than they want gain. So, you think about Ricky Carmichael, right? He's a classic example where he said the reason why he did so well was not because he wanted to do so well, but he just feared loss. He didn't want to lose.
Yeah,
You know?
you hate losing more than you love winning.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's because if you win, you feel joy, enlightenment, excitement, vibe, emotions up here, right? There's this thing called a scale, a level of consciousness. So there's these different emotions have a different vibration, literally like a frequency, like on a radio, like a vibe. And so the higher vibe emotions don't have that. They don't stay as long in your mind and in your body. But the lower vibe things like guilt, shame, embarrassment, humiliation, those emotions tend to really drive human behavior. And so if we feel that we might lose something, we are at risk of feeling guilt, shame, humiliation, embarrassment. That will drive us. But joy and all that, it's not as much as a driver as you think of human behavior, as is avoidance of the lower vibe emotions.
Hey, Jay, how would you classify yourself in all of this?
I don't know. I was trying to think of that as you guys were talking.
Are you a hate to lose more than you like to win person, or you like to win more than you hate to lose? I mean, just in general, don't
I
look at
feel like
Supercross results or anything. Just
no, right. I feel like I move past my losses so quickly that it doesn't matter. Like I must just
you don't
disregard them. I'm
dwell
like,
on that.
yeah, I'm like, all right, next thing. What's next? Um, but then again, like with my wins, I don't dwell on those either. You know what I
You're
mean?
just the most even keeled ship on the sea, aren't you?
I feel like that might be a good way to be, right?
I suppose.
I appreciate and I have gratitude for when things are going well, but then right away I'm like, okay, what's the next thing?
Mm.
I'm trying to think of an example. I'm pretty much in it right now. There's been so like the Jet Lawrence School, any like small like any accomplishment that we've had along the way, it's like, okay, immediately the gears start turning and I'm like, all right, now what? What's the next thing?
Do you allow yourself to celebrate those victories, or do you kind of guard yourself from celebrating them because you fear that it's like a fleeting kind of thing?
No, I do. I feel like, I'm pretty good at this in general. Like I celebrate them for one night, maybe like go out that night, have a couple of drinks, like talk about how the day went with the guys, really enjoy it, soak it in. And then literally maybe even that night before I go to bed, I'm already on my phone figuring something out or like brainstorming ideas. Or if not that night, the very next morning.
Mm.
So it's short lived, but
What you doing, Jay?
Sorry.
but I feel like I'm pretty good with that. And I think you hear people that are really extremely successful say to be that way, right? Like don't dwell on the losses, obviously, but then the highs aren't too high, the lows aren't too low, and know just how to. What are you thinking, Jay?
Well, why can't the highs be too high? I mean, I think the thing is we as a human race, we tend to dwell on the negative. Like let's say that the same amount of positive and negative happens. So it's 10 units and 10 units. The happiness will last for, let's say, a minute, but the same equal amount of negativity will ruminate in your mind instead of a minute. Let's call it 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for some reason, we just don't allow ourselves to enjoy things enough. But the key that I have found just in general, like take out moto, mental game, whatever, just like straight up, I wake up every morning and say, what can I do to like, what's the lowest common denominator? What's the smallest thing I can do to feel a certain emotion that will let me feel as if I won the day? And so before 5:30 in the morning, I've already set an intention for a feeling I want to feel and what the roadmap is to get there. And I'm taking actions throughout the day to get that feeling. And then in my mind, I've already created that if you feel this feeling, then that means you won the day. So then I focus my attention on that feeling. I achieve the feeling. Oftentimes I achieve above and beyond that feeling. And then I say, wait a minute, if that was my condition for having a great day and I achieved it, then I just had a great day. And then boom, I had a great day. Like, are you kidding me?
You know what's crazy, Bryce? I know you're about to have an idea or a thought. It could be the stupidest little thing. I wish I could think of an example. It's happened to me the past few days where it sparks a feeling, and I'm talking a feeling for 3 seconds, but it is extreme, the happiest happy you could ever imagine being for that 3 seconds. But what I've been doing lately is I'm able to recognize that immediately after it happens. I'm like, holy cow, I was just so happy for 3 seconds.
Mm.
And then I have the same, I'm able to trigger the thought like multiple times in a row, like 4 or 5 times back to back to back, to where I have that couple seconds of feeling ridiculously good. Like not just like, oh, I'm pretty happy right now. Like the happiest that you can imagine being.
Can you give me an example? I really like this. Do you mind sharing, or is that too personal?
No. Oh crap. I can't even off the top of my head think.
But while you're thinking though, one thing that's cool is you have to realize that you had a thought and then there was a feeling attached to it. Like if I think about the fact that my father's not around, I used to associate my father's not around, which is the thought, with a feeling of loss and separation. I'm sad, you know, dad, sad, dad, sad, dad, sad. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You can't even think about your father who's no longer with us without feeling sad. Like if I were dead and people thought about me and got sad, I would come back and I would burn your house down. I'd be like that ghost haunting your ass. And I'd be like, what are you doing? You're ruining your life. Like I shared so many great moments with you. Can you please just focus your energy and attention on them? So where I'm going with this is that thoughts trigger feelings sometimes. And so if you're feeling down, that means that you're thinking thoughts that are associated or trigger the emotion of, I feel depressed, I feel sad, I feel anxious, I feel worried. So it's like, if you just have a set, like I almost have like a bank of thoughts where I'm like, if I need these thoughts or actions, I can trigger an emotion. If I listen to 80s music, there's certain songs, boom, dude, you can't get me any happier. If I go for a walk, boom, you can't make me any happier. We've had a shit ton of turkeys banging in my backyard. I talk to them, boom, you can't make me happier. There were coyotes in our backyard the other day. Boom, I talked to them, they talked back. My girlfriend's like, you're crazy and you're gonna get eaten. They're like literally in our backyard. And I'm like, this feels so great. But it's like, all I have to do is replicate the same things I did in the past and I'll get the same outcome, right? So why can't we just do the same thing and get the same effect in a positive way? You know, I don't understand why we don't have that bank that we can pull on. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm taking this all in and I'm cataloging it too. Because I'm almost, I mean, I feel like I'm beating myself up, but it's true. You know, I got a new car in February and I was like joking with my friends. It's a nice car, nothing crazy, but it's a nice vehicle. And I text my buddies. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I guess I'll be happy for the next 5 minutes, you know. And then, sure than shit, like I was all stoked, got the car, got it home, cool. And then like it didn't do anything for me at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's like I thought it would make me happy. It did for a very short amount of time, and then I was like right back to just kind of feeling, bleh, you know what I mean? So like to be able to recall those things that are meaningful to you and not like associating feelings with like a possession or things that you think that other people would think make you happy. I think that's important too. I don't know if you agree, Jay, but like to be able to recognize the things that mean something real as opposed to like, you know, what like the flexes on Instagram, what you think other people will think, those types of feelings that don't serve you at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, happiness is an inside job, right? So you're thinking that a car, an external object outside of you, will bring you happiness. That will never work. You know, it's an inside job. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be grateful you have this car or this experience, and it might, you know, have a quick hit, but it's a very quick hit and it drops. That's why like all the work is inside. And that's why like you always have to think about like you're a mirror. You know, everything is you pushed out. You know, if I all of a sudden come onto this podcast and I'm talking to you guys and I'm a little on edge and I'm a little kind of nippy, it's not because you said something wrong or AJ, you know, didn't text me back, you know, or whatever. You know, it just, that's a representation of my internal state. But you have to manage your internal state, and it can't be conditional based on your external environment. It has to be within, you know. But people, I don't think people realize that they're in control of their reality. Your reality is what you perceive it to be. My house is not the house I used to have. It's half the house, but it's a warm house. It's happy vibes. And so my perception used to be that I'm a failure and I'm a loser because I used to make this amount of money. I had a Ferrari. I had all these things, right? But now I don't have those things. So now what does that make me? Well, if I had this and now I have less, that makes me this. And it was like, what a lie. What a horrible lie to place on myself. And then I eventually was like, dude, you have freedom. You have freedom. I just hung out with my mom. Like, I don't even know what day is today. Thursday? I really, no, Monday? It's Monday. I seriously had to think about that. But the point is that it's all an internal, and it's internal work, and you got to do the work, but you got to make it a priority. Because if you don't make it a priority and you get sucked into your phone, get sucked into life, watching TV, doing this, then you know what? You're your worst enemy. You know?
Well, and that could be, oh my, I can hear myself now. I like this. Okay. That should be good news for people because you don't need anything to make it happen. Not a single thing.
That's a great point.
The times that I've felt those extreme feelings of happiness, the reason I couldn't think of an example is because it wasn't about major successes or making a ton of money in one day or whatever. It wasn't those things that sparked that. It was like the sun hitting me the right way as I was like driving my car and having a positive thought about something. And then I would just be like, wow, my life is so good. And I would just have this moment of like 3 seconds of crazy happiness. Or when we were in Cancun last week and just laying on the beach and like the sun goes behind the cloud and all of a sudden breeze hits and I'm sweating my butt off and I just feel amazing for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But it's just like crazy good feeling. Crazy good feeling. And I don't know if it's just me imagining that it's a good feeling or what, but it just feels so powerful.
Sounds like ecstasy.
maybe who knows? Yeah, maybe. I will say I was being solicited constantly on the beach because I have tattoos. Every guy that walked by me was asking me if I wanted a little something. I was either getting a little bit of this or a little bit of that. They were trying to figure out what I wanted. So maybe they were lacing.
Did they figure it out?
No, we brought our own contraband.
Oh,
I brought some gummies.
nice. So Jay, do you not to be too cynical, but do you have bad days now? And if you do, what do you do to rechannel all that negative energy to turn your day around?
So I love that question because this is a favorite question of mine, is that I don't have bad days anymore because a bad day, let's say
that'd be hard to do.
Hours. That's 17 hours. So I'm alive and you're telling me that all 17 hours of that day were bad? To me, I don't allow, I simply do not allow myself to have a bad day. So what I did is I used to make it a bad hour. So I would consciously say that I can have a bad hour. I can be angry. I can be moody. I can scream. I can destroy stuff. I can whatever I want to do for an hour. But then it has to stop. And then once I did that and I realized how easy it was to just have things go wrong for an hour, then I started making it a shorter and shorter and shorter time frame. And then now, I mean, I've had some crazy things happen that I just let go to the point where, no joke, 5 minutes or less. And so so to answer your question, do I have bad days? No. Do I have a multitude of questionable, negative, lower vibe feelings for 5 minutes or less? Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
All the time. But the difference is this. I consciously, as AJ was saying earlier, I'm consciously aware of how I feel. Like it's a gut thing. Like for me, if I feel stress or anxiety, I feel it in my stomach. So I'm very aware of like, what does my stomach feel like? Do I feel like I'm feeling tension or pressure in my stomach? If I am, why? And then the why goes to, where am I focusing my thoughts? What am I thinking about? Because I know that the thoughts control the emotions. And so, or what action am I taking? Because it can also come that way too. Feelings can come from thoughts or the actions. But either way, I'm feeling this way. What do I need to do? Where do I shift my focus? And, it always goes back to that. It's that triad of like conscious awareness. Where am I placing my energy? Where do I shift it to get a better outcome or a different outcome? That's it.
I think it's important for people to understand too, that everybody's baseline is different for that. When you were just saying that you had to really consciously work hard to not having a bad day, I've never had a bad day. And I never really thought about this until recently when somebody asked. That is my baseline. My baseline was to never have a bad day. I didn't believe in it. Some people's baseline might be that they have more bad days than they don't, but it's just your perception of it, and your baseline might be different. So it's just like, if somebody told us to all go play a sport that we've never played, Bryce might be better than me, I might be better than you. Our baseline is going to be different. And it's same thing with this. Certain people are going to have to work a little bit harder to get to that point. But man, I tell you what, it's powerful, because I've always thought of it's hard because you're yourself, so you don't know what other people think. But I've always been happy, almost no matter what. Can't think of a time that like I said, I've never had a bad day. I've been knocked out plenty of times. I've been hurt really bad plenty of times. Even in those days, I can think back to that specific day and remember good moments that I had throughout it. So that's not a bad day.
Mm.
You have bad moments. And luckily, that's how I'm wired. But that's not to say that anybody can't get there. It just might take more effort for them. It might take, like Jay, you and I do with the WhatsApp calls, where we try to talk every day and work on my mindset in different aspects, where that stuff takes a little bit more work, like believing myself on the track, that type of stuff. My baseline for that may be lower than other people's, right? Where there's a lot of guys that go out there on the track and believe that they're Eli Tomac when really they're not very good. So their baseline's higher than mine, right? It just depends.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's interesting, and you're right. I didn't even realize that about you, AJ, but you're right. I don't think I've ever. And Bryce, have you ever been around AJ when he wasn't happy? I cannot think of a moment.
There was one time that he was a little pissed. One time that I can remember. That time where we went mountain biking at like my old motorcycle club.
Oh yeah.
And you bashed your knee, and you were fucking pissed. I've never seen you mad. And I felt terrible for dragging you out there. Like, we shouldn't have been out there on mountain bikes. The trails were terribly maintained. And I was
it
like,
wasn't,
oh,
just to be clear here, for what my memory recalls, this was not even a trail. Bryce took
it was
us
a trail. Yes.
in the middle of the forest, just like in brush, in rocks, and like there was no trail in sight. We were just riding over random crap. And I remember
that's definitely a false memory, but I'll give it to you.
That's how I recall it. So
I'm sure that's how you recall it. That was a bad day for you.
No, that was a bad mountain biking session for sure.
Yeah.
Case Mountain?
No, oh God, no. I wish, because Case Mountain's awesome. No, this was terrible. It'd never bring me there again.
No, I've never been back since. I have PTSD.
Yeah, no, I remember disliking that. I mean, I can get in moods, and Allie can attest to that. I catch myself. Actually, this has been one thing I've been working on lately, is trying to catch myself getting in moods with her, because she's about the only person that I'll actually get that way with. I don't get that way around my mom. Definitely don't get that way.
It's I mean, I'm right there with you.
But I have to consciously catch myself before I start getting an attitude about nonsense. And that's really the only aspect of life where I have to focus on straying away from the negative when it comes to that stuff. I'm trying to think of an example. Can't think of one.
Well, you know what it is, AJ, while you're thinking of it, is it's all the meaning you place on events and conversations. It's the meaning, right? Because the meaning you place on your interaction with your wife, with Allie, if she says something like, AJ, like, it's 8:30, like, where are you? If she comes at you like that, and it's all the meaning you place on what she's saying. Like, her asking in that tone means she doesn't trust me. All right, if she didn't trust you because she's like, hey, where have you been? And like, you interpret it as that, then the meaning you place on it is going to be a stronger, more intense emotional reaction, as opposed to it just being a simple question. Like, where are you? Like, I cooked for you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to be home in 5 minutes.
Yeah. But what's odd is that my being mean towards her isn't happening it's not reactive to what she's saying at all. And I can't think of a freaking example because my brain's fried right now, but it's me just giving her an attitude for no reason, literally no reason on her end. She didn't say anything. Like, she was just existing next to me. I'm trying to think. I was being an a-hole and we were in Restoration Hardware yesterday looking at furniture, and I gave her an attitude about something. I can't remember what. It was brief. I'm talking 3 seconds of attitude.
Don't beat yourself up. I do the same thing to my wife. Like my eyeballs roll out of my actual skull. A lot of things that she tells me, and she hates it. I just, it's, dude, it's marriage is hard, right? Being with somebody is sometimes difficult, and they might just irritate the hell out of you sometimes. It's true.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe I shouldn't overthink it. Maybe I shouldn't overthink it because it's only a couple seconds, and then.
But at least like you've recognized, and that's what something like I've been working on, particularly like the last month or so, is like really trying to be self-aware of when I'll feel a negative emotion. For me, that's kind of my triggers. Like I'll know, all right, my heart rate will increase, my chest will get tight. What is causing that to happen? What am I dwelling on? To speak about what Jay said, like what brought that thought process on that's leading to those feelings. I've really tried to do a better job of like being self-aware of that. Because like I had a rough time like over the holidays and the fucking coronavirus thing and everything, all the social interaction that I thrive on being around people, and we haven't been around anybody, and I haven't gone to see you, and I haven't seen Jay, and I haven't seen anybody, and my wife's pregnant, so there's like an added stress of like I got to be careful for her sake, and so
Wait, your wife's pregnant?
Oh, you didn't know that? I thought you did. Yeah. Well, she's not pregnant with my 2-year-old.
Congrats.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, he's due in June. Another little boy.
Yeah, that's soon.
Yeah, it's soon. All right. Yep.
But wow. I think so. I like what you spoke about, because I think the one thing, I actually wrote a paper for Thrive Global recently. I've been trying to write more because if I'm going to write a book, I got to get good at writing. And I wrote a paper on the impact of COVID-19 on the mental health in America. And 40% of people are drinking way more than they ever have. And there are a ton of nasty things happening to people. Like it's downplayed. Like I don't even want to say it's downplayed. People don't even talk about it. But I don't know. I don't know if I told you this story, AJ, or Bryce. But I woke up before Daytona, like Daytona Supercross, and there was a Daytona flat track race in Volusia. So I woke up one day and I felt really weird, like really unfulfilled, and it was just odd. I just remember when it happened, I was like, so I recognized the feeling. I'm like, whoa, this is stronger than usual. Like I felt it before and I know what to do. I mean, this is half of what I do. Half the day is spent doing this, but I was like, whoa, this is different. And I'm like, I have no clue what's going on. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't like this feeling at all, to the point where I'm going to distract myself. I'll get back to it. I'm going to revisit in a moment, but like, whoa, I don't have any answers right now. So I went on my phone. I started scrolling on Instagram, and then I found my answer on Instagram. I was scrolling. You guys are doing the Jet Lawrence camp. Rob's there. Aiden's there. Anyone I've ever met in my entire life is in Florida. I've been COVID. I played by the rules. Why? My mother is a hypochondriac. She thinks everyone's going to die, including herself, me. If I don't call her, she's like, are you okay? I thought there was an accident. I'm like, Mom, you're freaking insane. So my mom has gotten in my head for the last year, and I played by the rules. But I woke up and I said, the problem is I'm always in Florida. My body, how crazy is this? My body knew, like a circadian rhythm, that like I'm always in Florida during this week. My body was literally like, dude, this sucks. And I kid you not when I say real time, this is what happened. I, within 5 minutes, figured out what the feeling is. I say, oh my God, I got to change this. How do I change it? I said, I got to go to Florida. I go, I can't just go to Florida. And I'm like, really? I get on my phone, call one of my friends I stay with. He doesn't answer the first time I call. So I'm like, he works on his phone. I'm like, screw you. I crazy call him. I call him once, then I call him twice, and I waited 2 minutes. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep calling until he picks up. Third time he picks up, he goes, hey, you okay? I'm like, dude, I know you're busy. One question. if I leave now to come to Florida and drive, can I stay at your place for a week or 10 days? He goes, yeah, I got to go. Click, hangs up. 20 minutes later, stuff's packed in the car, calling my girlfriend in the car while I'm already gone, saying, hey, babe, I love you so much. You're great. Yeah, hey, listen, I told her what's going on. She flips out, hangs up on me. It all worked out in the end. But so the point is that it was the human connection that I missed so much. And I'm never going to make that mistake again. I'm not doing it. I don't care what the repercussions are. Like, I can't be disconnected. Like, did you guys suck? Like, AJ, I know you were going racing and stuff, but Bryce, how did this affect you?
I mean, you hit it, man. It's been tough. It's been tough. And like you, I've played by the rules. In September, that became much more consequential because my wife's pregnant, and all the research just points to, like, if you're a pregnant woman, it's not a good prognosis if you catch it. So, that just kind of gave me another reason to be playing by the rules. So, but yeah, man, I mean, I outside of, like, I did a couple downhill mountain bike races where there was like people, and like my small close group of friends would mountain bike together, but there was no going to restaurants, sitting outside, happy hours, all the stuff that we do, and like interact with people. I mean, I'm a social guy. I like to be around people, and it doesn't even have to be close friends or family. I just want people around to spark up conversations with people. And without that, I mean, I certainly recognize now more than ever how important it is to me to be involved with people like that, because without it, I just like it almost felt like, well, what's the point? I mean, I'm getting up, I work out of my house, I see my family and I love them and they've kept me grounded, and that's been great. If I were by myself, dude, I would have gone literally insane. And I mean, kudos to people kind of worked through this whole
Imagine if you didn't
process.
have a pet or a kid.
Bro.
It's
Well, that's
even
the thing. So I lost my dog, as you know, in fucking February, 2 weeks later, lockdown. And I'm like, and that just like destroyed my whole freaking first 6 months of the whole thing. Was like mourning my dog, then the lockdown, and not to be all dreary and everything, but it definitely, Jay, to answer your original question, it impacted me more than I could have predicted, and more than I would have ever wished on anybody. And hey, look, I'm just kind of glad that nice weather, vaccines were the lights at the end of the tunnel. um I told AJ once I'm vaccinated that I'll be at the next camp after my vaccines.
Oh, I've got, we can't talk about this on the air, but text me and I've got a way that you can get a vaccine.
Okay. My wife's vaccinated, so we're good. I'm the last on the list in my
I have
family.
an option that I might be aware of. So we'll
Okay.
talk.
All right, cool. Cool.
AJ, have you gotten vaccinated? Can you get vaccinated because you're an athlete? You can't because you're an athlete, right? No, that doesn't. Excellent.
I don't know. I
No.
don't know. I haven't looked into it, to be honest with you.
Now, so one of your teammates got it, right? Or
Yeah, Alex Ray did.
yeah, and
People-
so he
yeah,
had to
that's
take what,
probably not.
2 weeks off?
Yeah, he took one race weekend off, 2 full weeks,
Okay.
and then he was good to go. He came back, tested on Friday, just like anyone else would have to, and he was good to go. It's actually surprising now that I think about it that more people haven't tested positive.
I mean, if you think about it, to your point, before the race season started, I don't know about you guys, but I factored in the fact that one of the top 10 guys
Right.
would get it, and that would factor in. Did
Oh, yeah.
you
Or
guys?
at least more
definitely.
riders that you would hear about.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of anybody except for Alex Ray. That's it. How is that?
That's pretty wild. I
That
remember
seems
talking
almost
about
impossible.
yeah.
Right? Like, think of the odds of that. All of the race crew, all of the riders. The only people I've heard of is Roxon's mechanic and Alex Ray. I'm sure there's others, but I don't think there's other racers. I haven't heard of any other racers. And with all the traveling we're doing, and I don't know, that's odd. I don't think those tests work very well anyways, but you would think that they would be reading it all over the map and not just negative.
I think that you're more likely to get a false positive than a false negative, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would think we'd be seeing more of those, right? It's weird. Oh, by the way, I got my first full violation test. All of the tests we've been getting are just like the little
Okay.
nose deal. When we were in Cancun, we had to get tested at the hotel to fly back to the United States.
Oh, when you said violation, I thought you were talking of like AMA.
Oh, I'm
testing
sorry.
you.
No, I just call
Like, what?
I just call it full violation.
Like you are personally violated, you mean?
I've been fully violated. Yeah.
Like,
So it's
that's
just
an interesting
partial.
way to put it. So you mean like somebody like sampled your brain, that kind of deal?
Yeah. Because
How was
prior to
that?
that, for all the supercross races, it was just partial violation, like a little bit in my nose.
Partial violation. So how was that? Pretty uncomfortable.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. I tell you what, I did a good job of it. Like as I
I'm
tilted
so proud of you.
they did Allie first, and Allie wasn't expecting it and went straight up, and she like tensed up, which made it worse. And I was like, oh no, this is my worst nightmare. So then I'm just like, all right, breathe and don't tense up. And I didn't, and it went smooth in and out. No worries. I think when you fight it, it gets worse.
Probably.
It still was not pleasant. That thing was in my brain. Did we all just freeze simultaneously?
No, it's one of those dead silences.
That was weird. Jay wasn't
silence.
moving.
I did look at Jay. I was like, is he frozen?
Yeah. That was really confusing for a second.
Like AJ had a Q-tip that went all the way up to his red. Like, what happens next? Like, what do we transition to? You know?
If we want to bring it back to the roots of this show, we're heading into Atlanta. Jay, I want to loop you back in from a Supercross perspective. I know you've been pretty vocal on your social media about recognizing the guys who've had mental coaching, who've benefited from mental coaching. You and I shared a couple texts this week about Cooper Webb. Like, do you think that he can lose? I think not. You think not? What do you, I suppose, where do you recognize the biggest changes in some of these guys this season, and attributed to the mental game side of it?
Well, I mean, and I'm not the type of person that would typically jump on the Cooper Webb wagon. And truth be told, the last round after qualifying, I thought Kenny was going to shine, but I learned it was so funny after
That was Kenny's type of track, by the way.
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt. That was a Roxon type of track.
Correct. And so what got me was it should have been his. I truly, genuinely felt that was going to be a transition point. And when it wasn't, I said to myself, if you ever doubt Cooper Webb again, you're a fool. So to be honest with you, of all the times for me to admire and respect Webb, his value in my mind from the mental side, and even just from a fan standpoint, that one race changed my relationship and my view of Cooper Webb. That one race changed it. Not even his championship, a couple of years ago, not even the points lead. I'm not a bandwagon guy. If anything, I like to kind of go against the grain, but one race changed my opinion 100% on him. And not only that, but it really changed my perspective on Roxon. It really did. It really, in a negative way. It really did.
Now,
the pass, and I think I talked about this on Gypsy, the pass that Webb made on Roxon was purely Webb wanting it more.
Yes.
I wonder why that is. I mean, and I think everybody was expecting a little more out of Roxon, especially because he's been a little shit talky this season, more than I can remember there being that dynamic in the last few seasons. I mean, he's called out Webb, and Webb answered the call. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
You would think that would be motivation enough, but maybe he just doesn't care about that, because it's easy to become a little bit mentally complacent with certain things. First of all, Roxon has more money than God, so that's not a motivation. Secondly, he's acquired more wins this year than maybe he ever expected to, especially after all those injuries. Maybe he reached a personal goal in his head with that. Maybe the title isn't his ultimate goal, which is, if that's the case, that's fine. In my mind, I would just think that if he truly hates or dislikes Webb that much that would be your driving factor to want to beat the guy. And I think that you're seeing that from Webb. I don't know, like watching the way he passed Webb, or Webb passed Roxon in a spot that he should not have passed Roxon in. Roxon is faster in the whoops. He's the fastest guy in the whoops probably. And Webb passed him in the whoops. I mean, in the way that Roxon gave up the inside, just the whole thing was a little bit odd. And you know, if Roxon doesn't want it, if he wants it 99% and Webb wants it 100%, I don't hold that against Roxon, because I get it. I've been there. Like I kind of ride the same way sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. What are you thinking, Jay?
What do you think of this, AJ? So here's a theory I have, and so you just to make sure I got this right, you just said that what if Roxon wants it 99% and Webb 100, right?
Yeah.
What if it's actually the opposite? What if it's Kenny wants it 110%, Webb wants it 90, right? So Webb doesn't want it as much, Roxon wants it more. Now, where I'm going with this is, if you want something, the word want and desire are very, very, very interesting words. And as a matter of fact, they're probably the topic of choice and the topic that occupies my thoughts more than anything in the last couple of weeks. And here's why, is because when you want something, you got to think about the emotional feeling that is a result of it. Because if you want something, that in of itself implies you don't have it, right? Of course, right? You want something you don't have. Now, if you want something that you don't have and you want it so much, now, if you want it so much and you feel separation, you want wholeness. Wholeness is I have something. I have everything in my life. I'm whole. I have love. I have connection. I have my wife. I have my child. I'm whole. Everyone says whole is happiness, and that's love and all that. But when you have lack, separation from that which you desire, that sometimes, if you want it too bad, creates a lower vibe emotion. It's like this anxiety. It's like this self-defeatedness. It's like this feeling of lack. And it's these lower vibe emotions that create even more separation from that which you desire. So there's a fine line between want and desire, and being able to recognize the emotion that is associated with it. It has to come from a different place. And I think with Kenny, there might be some frustration and some anxiety, some lower vibe emotions. Whereas with Cooper, he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to do my best and do what I got to do. And whatever happens, happens. So I'm going to, every lap, every turn, I'm going to do my best. So he doesn't have those lower vibe emotions. He has a higher vibration, like a higher energy. And I feel that that's attracting some of these things to him and some of these positive results. And I think Kenny is making that the wrong, the want and desire too much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Could be. Because you've seen the shift. You saw at the beginning of the season, there was like the call made against Roxon that stole some points. There was another incident. Well, the thing with Dino, but the momentum was still very much in Roxon's favor. Like, even though he had those couple things against him, he seemed very motivated and things were happening. And then he won 3 in a row in Indy. And then you saw the shift the other direction. And yeah, I guess you could consider the way he's riding to be tight and overly cautious and anxious and those things too. I don't know. And no one will ever know other than him, I guess. Right.
Well, I almost think back to what Jay said in the beginning about like the things that you focus on become expanded. So if he's focused on why did Webb pass me? Why am I not winning? Why is he gaining the momentum? He could almost have a self-fulfilling prophecy where he's like too focused on Webb, which is allowing him to fall victim to Webb.
Or he may not be thinking that at all. He could just be getting beat straight up by Webb. Maybe Webb's just been faster at these few races.
You're going to tell me that you're Ken Roczen and Webb, you've called out Webb after a race. You are next to Webb in a in a whoop section, he passes you, and you're not thinking about Cooper Webb. I don't think so. Man.
Yeah, I know.
I,
I was
I
just trying
think
to play
if he
devil's
didn't,
advocate there. Does
I don't disagree, but I do, because if we saw the raw emotion from Kenny that night where he called out Cooper Webb, like that to me just demonstrate like he cares about specifically him, and I'm not faulting him for it. I'm just
but
saying,
that's
like,
so weird because his actions didn't really show that. You know, like when he passed him in the heat race, if he was a guy that hated Webb, I would
I
have
don't know if he
cleaned
hates
him
him.
out.
I don't know
I
He
if
would.
he
doesn't.
hates.
He goes out of his way to give him arm knuckles after a race. It's almost like he looks for it. Like, hey man, good job. You don't see that? I look at these weird things.
Yeah, I do notice that. I don't think, and I when I was on live with Dave Drakes the other night watching the race, we talked about it. I don't think I don't think they hate each other,
Oh no,
but
no.
but I do think that they clearly are thinking about one another, and uh, Webb has obviously just responded to that bell.
Let me throw out another theory. AJ Bryce, PTSD. He was injured. Could have been a career-ending injury. We don't need to go into it too deep, but could that not be in the back of his mind, almost like a residual PTSD that was never dealt with?
Maybe, and that could go along with my little bit of mental complacency there. And like, I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes in like all different aspects. Maybe he's thinking, oh, well, like I said, I've got more wins than I ever thought I would. I never thought I'd win again after getting hurt that bad. I have more money than God. Why
I would be
do I need it?
I would be more inclined to think that, Jay, if we saw Roxon come back and never achieve wins, podiums, and we could say, man, he went through the ringer. He can't get over that. But he's demonstrated that he can, and he has, and he does. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's about the injuries so much anymore. I mean, he might think about it, but he's already demonstrated to everyone that he can win. He's fast. He should be up there. I really just think I if it were me just making an educated speculation, I would just say he has in his mind more to lose than Webb. He doesn't have a Supercross championship. Webb does. He's maybe he's kind of just looking at his career and saying, like, if not now, when? There might be a lot of just internal dialogue that no one will ever know that Webb just is not having. And
Hey, speaking. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Theory 3 real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Not to drop. Remember when Tomac and Roxon were on that plane
yeah,
together, that private jet or whatever?
mm-hmm.
I wonder if there was some conversation where we said, hey man, let's pinky swear. Like, dude, let's just do top 5. Let's ride safe. Let's ride smart. Let's ride fast. Like, ride hard. But like, what are we doing, man? Like, why are we chasing this one thing? And if we don't get that, then we fail. What are we doing to ourselves? Like, why don't we just ride our best? And if we get a win or 2 or 3 here or there, fine. But like, because if you see it, I almost feel like the same mentality exists, maybe even with Tomac, or am I stretching?
So here's Webb does not have a kid, correct?
No.
He just got married.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, not to sound all sappy and everything, but when you have kids, it changes you. It puts things like, and I can't speak to being on the hot seat of like a Supercross championship, but it does kind of, as cliche and sappy as it sounds, you kind of look at everything like, it doesn't matter. Like the baby, the kid, that is what matters, like above anything else. So speaking of those two on a plane together, and I guess the flip side of that is it could serve as motivation to want to win. But at the end of the day, you're like, I mean, look, he has a lot of money. He's had success. He wants to come back to his baby. That's the priority.
It can serve as motivation to win if you don't have all the money and you don't have a way to support your child. But if you have all the money like Tomac and Roxon, then I can't see it doing anything other than making you be like, hey, what am I doing out here?
Yeah.
I
I
have those
feel
thoughts
that. And
now. I
Mike,
don't even have a kid. I just have a dog.
well, that's because you have a like a good perspective like on life. You have a way we talked about already. You prioritize things in a different hierarchy. But like for those, and I'm just, hey, look, Jay's throwing out these theories. I'm just giving you the follow to
same.
him.
Hey, speaking of confidence though, because I just thought of this and I want to say it before I forget. How about Aaron Plessinger?
Another one with a kid.
Talk about how important confidence is, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his run has been pretty unbelievable. Like
Out of like
just
nowhere. Barely
what do you
inside
think,
the
Jay?
top 10.
Yeah, you working with him, Jay?
Hey, he's doing a school with me next week.
Jay's frozen again. Wait, where are you going, AJ? Bathroom?
Oh my God, he's really good at pretending he's frozen.
No one will see that, unfortunately, on the recording.
All right, I just got to go.
Good.
I just got to go potties quick.
Okay. That was cute.
That was pretty good.
Was that not believable?
Did you bleach your hair again? Oh, he can't hear us.
He can't.
Oh.
The sad part is we're going to see his confidence drop after he's reminded why, and he'll be back soon. But what time?
Who? AJ?
Yeah, he's using the restroom. He didn't catch the.
I got you.
Yeah. So, so while we're waiting for AJ to come back, tell me, like, so I get where you're going with the kid, everything you say, I completely agree with. But you know what's been interesting, and it's funny because I wonder if it's just my belief, and I've looked for validation to it, is I've actually believed the complete opposite. I see someone like RJ Hampshire, once he had a kid, it seemed like all of a sudden, that when he shifted from Geico to Husky and then had a kid, almost seemed like he had an uptick. There's a couple riders where I'm like, wow, maybe the child is actually helping them. And my theory was that now
look at this kid. You see him? How did he pee that fast?
You certainly don't wash your hands, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
but my thought was, now your persona and your identity isn't just that of a racer, it's that of a father. So it's almost like you have this other identity, and so it almost like takes the pressure off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm not. You look, we're just speculating here. The variables. It definitely does serve as a motivation in a lot of ways. Speaking from personal experience, I'm just saying, boil it all down, put it all in a pot, boil all the water out. What do you got left for sediment? Is your family, the health of your children, your wife. And I'm just saying, if you were to boil everything out of Tomac, Webb, Racing, those two have the common variable. And if we were talking about what we're speculating about, could that be a factor? Yes. Now, it could definitely very well be that Roczen might have never got the wins that he would have gotten this season had he not had a baby. Maybe that was his perfect motivation for getting those wins. I don't know. But when you were this deep into the season, you got to imagine he's starting to hit the panic button. There's not a lot of rounds left. There's a pretty decent gap right now. So if
what will be interesting is the next 3 rounds are who
mini
knows
Daytonas.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know, right? It's going to be on laid out similar to Daytona, but it might just be
Tomac sweep.
Right. If it's Daytona style Tomac sweep, if it's just an expanded version of straight up Supercross, who knows? That could get extra technical. It could be a Roczen style track. I think it's going to be heavily favoring somebody. I don't know who yet, because I don't know what the track's going to look like, but Jay, you look like you want to say something down there.
I got a question for both of you on this one. This theory came into my head the other day. We all know that certain tracks suit certain riders, right? Could there be, am I getting a little too creative here, but let's say we all want a good championship. We all want a close championship. Could it be possible that the people that Dirtworks, and I'm not trying to.
I was hoping you were going to say this.
We're going conspiracy theory, Jay.
Yeah, because it's fun and it makes for good podcasts. Let's do it. Let's try to help out our sponsors.
Yes, I think that tracks are built for particular riders. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So that being the case, could you not argue that maybe some of the Atlanta rounds might be a little, Kenny friendly? I mean, wouldn't that make for a better championship and create more value? I mean, think about it. Feld. What's the word after
Entertainment.
Feld?
Yeah.
So you tell me. I mean, would you be excited let me ask this. Would you be excited if there was a 35-point lead going into Atlanta 1? Would you be excited to watch Atlanta 1?
I love that. I love talking about this because this is something that AJ and I talked about on our last non-recorded episode. It's yeah, as a fan, I want it to come down to the last race. I want Salt Lake City to be, we don't know who's going to win the championship. That would be awesome. And we've talked several times on the show about how Feld wants the top guys on the track longer, and every decision they've made in the last 5 years has gone in that direction, taking the semis out, going just heat races to LCQs, doing the Triple Crown, all of these things. They've come out and said, we want the top guys on the track longer, more TV time, better racing for whatever, definition of racing they have. And the lack of diversity in lap times is all to keep the guys tight. So I think that there could be a decision made to say, let's knock down the whoops to give Webb the edge over Roxon on this track. Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
The tracks have been suspiciously suiting Webb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 90-degree turns, jump whoops.
When are they gonna? What is
I haven't done that face in a while, Jay. I forgot how to do it.
AJ, outside of putting in a 300-yard whoop section, again referencing the non-recorded podcast of last week, what is AJ's track? What track are you showing up to? You're taking a look at, and you're saying, "I'm going to be fast as hell on this track."
The closest one to it was the last race. Where was the last race?
Arlington
3.
The last Dallas. So far this season, Houston dirt is probably more right up my alley, and I don't know why I was thinking about that last night as I was putting up a Instagram post from the Houston rounds. I don't know what it is about tacky dirt that makes me faster than the other guys. Because that was early on in the season. My results were technically better then, and even when the field was deeper and I was more rusty. But there's something about the tacky dirt that either I am better or they're worse. I'm not sure which. But track style that would suit me is the same exact track style that would suit Roxon. Whenever Roxon does well, are tracks that I do well on, also, which is really difficult whoops. And big rhythms, I guess, like technical rhythms. Tracks that wouldn't suit me necessarily are the tracks that probably Webb is good at, which are like awkward chicanes, weird 90-degree turns, certain style on-offs that require like really bunny hopping to get off of it, because for some reason, I mean, I know why. That gives me arm pump. I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's so many variables, but it's interesting because I'm thinking to the fact of Feld building a track to suit certain riders, and that could be so easily done. So easily done. Right? I could do it. I could inquire with Dirtworks and be like, hey guys, Webb's starting to pull away with this thing. Let's build some monster whoops, but not too monsters to where they're jumping through, but big enough to where you got to skim them. Let's do a couple sets of whoops this one. Let's instantly it would be in Roxon's favor.
And the team managers talk to Dirtworks, right?
Yeah, I think they're building for DeCoster.
Could be.
I mean, Daniel, have you guys ever watched Daniel Blair's breakdown afterwards?
Yep.
So, I mean, I just feel, I want to say it was him that mentioned it, but or it was on his breakdown where one of the Dirtworks guys said it, but they're getting into the ear of the Dirtworks guys. So the Dirtworks guys has a group of riders that are like, hey, listen, hey, Zach, what do you think of the track? And it has to happen because you got to get feedback from the riders. So, you don't just not talk, right? But it's influence. You get in someone's ear, it's influence.
So AJ,
the AMA guy came up to me after one of the last rounds, in between after the first practice, and asked what I thought about the track and like if I would change anything. I've never had anybody ask me that ever.
Well, that brings me to where I was going before. A couple of years ago, after San Diego, after Limegate, they decided to have riders meetings and a riders panel, really, to get your feedback on the layouts of the track safety, all this stuff. Did anything ever come of that? And obviously they're not doing that anymore, right? And COVID, I wouldn't expect them to all gather together like they did, but
no, but that was 2 years ago, and they haven't done anything since.
Right. So it's kind of funny in that like they'll take like the little tidbits of feedback. If we want to go the conspiracy route, they'll tailor tracks around certain riders, but they're not addressing the major concerns amongst a lot of you guys.
I think ultimately, one, they don't care that much about the concerns of the riders, and two, I don't think the riders care enough to do anything about it. Unfortunately, I mean, the top guys are too busy riding and training to put any effort into anything else. It's just like to try to drag them to a meeting the morning of the races was almost impossible. You had Reed showed up to one of them, Webb was at one or two of them. There weren't many top guys showing up at those things because I don't know, frustrating. But it's like, well, if you guys want anything to be done, everybody has to get together and everybody has to stick with it.
Right.
Unfortunately,
there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think Feld does a much better job now of,
except for flaggers.
Oh, the flaggers have been horrendous, but at like one of the Houstons, there was that giant double that Freeze ejected himself on, and Alex Ray landed on his bike. I think that was one of the Houstons, right? No, that was one of the Indies. Had that giant, he had a double. You hit the finish line, turn left, double, and then the biggest double I've ever seen. After my heat race, I went up to one of the crew members and I said, you need to fix that face or somebody's going to get seriously hurt. And before the next race started, they went out and fixed the face. So I don't know if that had anything to do with me or not, but it seemed like they listened, which was nice. Normally it was a time period in the night show that they would not normally put equipment out there, and they went out and fixed the jump face. So, and they wouldn't have done that in the past. I don't know, man.
I want to see more tracks like Arlington 3. I was pretty pumped on that track. It was awesome for fans to watch. Get to see Blair called it a Cinco, which is awesome.
Well, I haven't heard any negative opinions about that track. I wonder why they wouldn't build more like it if that's the case.
I will say it didn't play out. The race did not play out. Dave and I did the live view, and it didn't play out the way we thought. I thought it was going to be, I thought it was going to be a little more back and forth between some of the guys, and we did see like
it totally could have been. That race could have, or that track could have lent itself to the best racing you can possibly imagine.
That's what we thought.
That race just played out the way it played out because that's just what happened on that given night, right? But that track was the ultimate track. Like if somebody needed to make a pass, you could have made a pass, and I could think of 5 spots off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was awesome. Everyone agrees that was the best track.
Yeah, and as a racer, I think we all agreed too. I mean, in free practice, there were so many giant rhythms. So there's always the basic rhythm, right? There was a couple triples you could do. There was table over singles, which is the basic of the basics. Single over table or table over singles. Like everybody does that, obviously. And there was a couple like small triples in the rhythms, but we knew just by looking at it, like, holy cow. And I remember we were doing the track viewing around the perimeter in the stands, and everyone's kind of looking at each other like, it looks like you could go 3 in and then go table all the way to that next table and downside it. Somebody goes, that'd be 5, right? Another guy goes, yeah, but that's definitely doable. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. But like, there was multiple things like that we all looked at it, and everyone was like, well, no, theoretically you could go 3 onto that table and then 3 off, and then you're going to 3 into the turn. Everyone kind of looks around like, are we doing that, or are we just not going to do that? And what happens is, as soon as one person does it, the top guys have to do it to be competitive. So the first free practice, nobody did anything. I know I said that on Gypsy Tales. I'm pretty sure nobody jumped anything, which I've never seen that happen in my 10 years of racing Supercross. I went out there in B group with no game plan at that point. I'm like, well, looks like I'm doubling tonight. Like, no one jumped anything. And then, there was a couple things that I'm like, well, am I really going to be the first guy to try this out of anybody? And I don't think I pulled the trigger on it that time, but then very next time out, sure enough, the jumps that I was like borderline gonna pull the trigger on, guys started doing. And then I put together my game plan from that. But that track was awesome. And they utilized a lot of the stadium space, which for some reason they haven't been utilizing all the stadium space in the other races. Like, there's been a lot
way
of
too much start. Way too much of an area is just taken up by the starts, I thought.
Yeah, there's been races where they've just had like the short 90-degree start coming the short ways across the stadium, and then they never come back across that. So it's literally just that wasted huge space that's taking up 1/8 of the stadium, maybe more than that, and they never come back around to it. That doesn't make any sense. But I think Feld wants the lap times to be short because it makes everybody closer together. Right?
All we could say is I think there's unanimous agreement that this was the best track we've seen in a while, and nobody said, how annoying is it when we get off the track and we hear the top guys, oh yeah, it's rutted, it's gnarly, but it's kind of basic. It's a basic track. It's basic. That we could point to a million times where that's been said, and I'm glad that it wasn't that way this past weekend. Jay, what are your thoughts on the matter?
No, I mean, when I looked into the race, I mean, I thought it was going to be the winner was going to be who made the least mistakes. Now, obviously, that goes with any race, but I just thought that thought was going to be amplified by 3x, given all the options on the track, where it's like, hey, are you going to go big? Are you going to try this? I really thought it was going to come down to who made the least mistakes, but obviously that factors in all races, but it didn't factor into the degree that I expected it to.
Let me ask you guys a question. There was one person that did 3 of the obstacles before anybody else. He's not a top 5 guy. Who would you guess? And another clue before you take your guess. He crashes a lot.
Oh, that kills my guess.
He's usually, I'm pretty sure he hasn't been top 10 this season. There's your 3 hints.
Heart ramped?
No. Good guess though. Faster.
Faster. Vince?
Faster. Maybe not as good of results, but faster.
Oh, you said not top 10. Bloss.
No. Now the whole audience is going to guess it before you guys. Initials are MD.
MD?
Oh, Martin Davalos.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. Jumped the 3 big obstacles. So he did the triple in table all the way over table before anybody. He did triple on, triple off before anybody. And then he also did coming across the start, turn left, on, off, triple, single before anybody.
So KTMs really are the best bikes.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's there's been, yeah, it's got it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It is.
KTM and Husky.
The
they're
proof is
definitely
in the pudding.
Well, let's give a
Yeah.
shout out to SGB Babbitt's Online Kawasaki.
Yeah, I don't know if we have Kawasaki support.
Oh, okay. Then, I mean,
So I think I'm okay to say
it's-
this. I mean, I love my bike. I love my bike. My bike's great.
I'm pretty sure it's listed as Babbitt's Kawasaki, like even on Race Day Live and stuff.
Yeah, because if it wasn't Kawi support, then why would we say Kawasaki at the end? Right? Is that what you're saying?
I love how you don't know. That is literally my favorite thing about you.
I will say
what,
I can get away.
What team am I on?
I can get away with saying this because everybody knows I'm pretty diehard Kawasaki.
Yes.
I've proven to be that, so I can say that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think we get the Kawi support. I will say Kawasaki sent me a random box of parts 2 years ago. I didn't know who sent it or why, but a random
Were
box
they
of
useful parts or were they just like
No,
spare
random stuff.
bolts?
Random stuff. I got 25 front brake levers. I've used like
they were
one
clutch
of them.
levers.
I
they
could
would
have
come
used
in
the clutch
handy.
levers because I've been going through clutch levers like it's nobody's business. I had like 25 front brake, and this was great. So thank you to whoever sent it because I'm very grateful. But it was so odd, and I couldn't figure out where it came from, and I didn't want to start inquiring because I'm like, was I supposed to get this box? I had like, I was telling Mackenzie about it on the phone today. He goes, dude, what's in the box? Like, could I use it? I'm like, I don't know, man. There's like 25 front brake levers. There was a gas cap. There was one radiator.
One radiator.
There was a cam chain in there for some reason.
That
There was
definitely
just like,
was not supposed to go to you.
no, it's the most random parts you can imagine. There was a front fender in there. So many parts that I wouldn't be able to use.
Tomac moved to Reston, Virginia. Where do you live, by the way?
I was so, I'm still to this day confused. I don't know. I don't know. It was odd.
That's funny. What's the parts total up to in the pits for you guys?
A-Ray's at almost six grand.
That's it?
That's
No.
quite a bit, dude. He's almost at the value of a bike at this point.
I would have absolutely thought more, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 grand. So
what do the motors cost?
I don't know, maybe 2,500, a little less, maybe 2 grand. Do I sound stuffed up?
Not terribly.
Oh.
When you draw attention to it after you're sniffling, yeah.
Do I always sound stuffed up? I feel like I always sound like
A little bit.
pinching my nose.
It's the Q-tip. You got to take it out after the test.
Maybe. So yeah, A-Ray's at like almost 6 grand. Rod Bell's at like 800 or 900, but Rod Bell also hasn't raced in a while. Jeremy Smith is very low, 400 or 500, maybe 600 at most. And then I'm at like 370, 380.
Okay. And is that all clutch levers?
That's all clutch levers and bars. I think I've done 2 sets of bars, 3 clutch levers, and a rear brake lever. And that's it. So I'm doing good.
Whatever happened to those parts you got, or you just got?
No, I got them like 2 years ago.
Oh.
I don't even know if they work.
You
on the new
did
bike
say
now.
you got them a couple years ago, but then said you're talking to Mackenzie today.
Yeah,
I was.
And he
because,
asked you if you were. So you still have them? Never
oh yeah,
used?
yeah. I have them somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm with Jay. I wasn't following the timeline. I thought you misspoke somewhere.
No, I've had them for a long time, and I found them in my garage, or some of them today in my yesterday in my garage. And Mackenzie has my practice bike right now, rebuilding it.
Gotcha.
I was like, hey, I had some parts maybe you could have used, and he goes, what do you have? And I listed, and he goes, what? I can't use any of that. Yeah, so I'm getting my practice bike freshly rebuilt, new top end, brand new plastics, new graphics, and he framed it and just like totally prettied it up to give away.
Cute.
Because now I'm giving it away.
You're not using it?
I'll use it. I think I'll ride it for like a week or two while the giveaway is in process. But yeah, whoever's getting that bike is getting a fresh bike. But no, I'm not. Mackenzie did it quick. He brought it up north and he's bringing it back down. I only lost this last week in riding, which I was in Cancun anyway. So, But yeah, I'll be able to ride. He's bringing it. I guess I have this week off too. He'll bring it to me on Saturday.
You gonna do any preparation for Atlanta?
Yeah, I'll have the week prior to Atlanta, so I'll have a full week, which is good. And then this week I'll be riding like I rode today. It's just on other people's bikes, so kind of same old with that. But I'll actually have a week of riding on it prior to Atlanta. And my Supercross track looks pretty good. Took a peek at it today. It's mint.
Sweet.
So yeah.
So AJ, I got a question for you. There was a podcast that you're on recently where I heard you allude to the fact that you might shift your focus towards truly, trying to like ramp up the practice and the focus on the race results, and maybe move your energy just a hair away from the schools. How serious were you with that conversation, or is that just kind of more of like a passing thought, or is that something that you've actually made a solid plan to take action on?
So as you know, I've been talking about doing that for the last 18 months. But we're at the point now where Allie and I have had the conversation multiple times, but we finally came to agreement. All of this is actually coming together at the perfect time. So Allie's stepmom has just become a real estate agent in Florida, got a license or whatever is required. Allie's dad bought a place in Bonita Springs, which he's had for a couple of years, so they're settled there. Then I got an email from a fan of the YouTube channel, and he has acreage in Naples, and he has a private track, and he has all the equipment, and in this email was willing to potentially allow me to build a Supercross track or to do my riding and training there. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. We could live in Bonita, right near your dad, Allie, be in the nice part of Florida where we want to be. Sorry, Floridians. We just like it in that part more. Everyone else is good too. And be 15 minutes from my track. Can we do this? And I'm like, Allie, all you have to do is your bosses like you. You're pretty much, they're not going to want to lose you. They're just not. I'm like, if you just ask for December, January, February, 3 months, 3.5 months at most remote, you could fly home even on those weekends or a day a week or whatever. I'm like, can we do this? And she's like, yeah, we can make that. We can do it. So as far as I know, we're actively looking in Bonita / Naples. And that's going to be on the timeline of buying a place there in November, which would be crazy. And if we don't buy a place there in November, we can go and stay with Allie's dad. So I really truthfully think, I know I've been saying it for a little while, but like all of this has come together so well and the timing is so perfect. I think this is going to be the year where it happens, which if it does, when it does, because I am confident this is going to happen. When this happens, I'm going to reach a point of like the peak of my racing and the peak of like where these schools are all at the same time. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy because what I'm doing right now, no one's doing it now. You know what I mean? To this level. And then that's going to be a whole different level of it. Because I'll be making main events consistently again. And the schools will be better than they've ever been. That's going to be so freaking cool. And then all those dummies out there that say, oh, well, when are you going to make a main event? Main event. They won't be able to say that anymore.
I'm glad that's motivation for you.
Yeah. Holy cow. I have a good story. Listen to this. Oh, I just got so excited. Okay. So this morning, I checked my Instagram messages. Hang on. I want to be accurate. Oh.
We're going to get the verbatim word for word read of this message.
Yes.
I'm on the edge of my effing seat. Hurry up.
Wait till you hear this. Okay. Sorry. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna, when I say F, they're saying F-U-C-K. When I'm saying F, another F word, that's
For
gonna
crying
be
out loud.
F-A-G.
Can you just get on with telling me how much better your life is than ours? Come on.
Huh?
Nothing. Hurry up.
No. This is negative. This is not.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're using another word for gay here that starts with an F. They're using some swear words. So I'm just gonna censor it.
Okay.
Why the F are you such a big deal? You literally suck and you're a prick. Wait, let me take that you suck part back. You don't suck, but your results sure do. This was February 8th. I responded, can I help you with something? February 17th, they responded, when are you going to get top 5? Crying, laughing face. Triple digit number.
Top 5.
Gay word person with an F. So that was pretty aggressive. I respond, can I help you with something? They respond, yes. I respond, what's up, man? I can answer any question you need. They respond, why do you think you're so good? I say, what makes you think that I think that? Today, they respond back. So that was February 17th. We're now fast forward a month. They say, because you're such an entitled fag with a G-O-T at the end. Why does fag sound so much less bad than?
It does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It does sound more aggressive with the suffix there.
Yeah, I know. That's like one of the most aggressive words you could say. I said, do you need any help with your riding or something? Literally, that's what I said back to that within minutes. He goes, nah, F you. But you do, though.
This is a troll account, man.
I said, I also respond to messages of people who say nice things, right? You don't need to be mean to a person to get their attention. He said, I don't want any attention, just stating the facts, but you can stay mad. I said, why would you message me? He goes, to tell you how ass you are, dumbass. I said,
give us his Instagram handle. I want to blast it.
I said, wait, this gets so much better. I said, how old are you? I'm just curious. He responds, 15 years of badassery. I heart that message. Don't respond, just heart it. Then he goes, what's your bench max? And I said, I'm not sure. What's yours? And then instantly, he Instagram video chats me. And as soon as the video chat comes through, I answer. And it's him and his 3 buddies. And they all just go, and like look at each other. And then go, hey, man. And I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Like super nice, as if I wasn't just having this conversation with them. And they go, hey, man, big fan. Just want to let you know, obviously, we were like, that was a joke, right?
Oh, my.
And he turns the camera around and there's a video of me. No, this is totally real. Turns the camera around on his phone and they're watching a video of me on their TV. And then he turns the camera back and I go, what day is it? They go, Monday. I'm like, shouldn't you guys be in school? I'm like, no, we're on spring break. I was like, oh, that's cool. What are you guys doing for spring break? And they told me. And I'm like, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, just on the way to the track. I go, guys, you shouldn't say stuff like that to people because they're not going to think it's a joke. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. And I'm like, all right, well, have a good day, guys. I got to go. I'm like, all right, see ya.
Dude,
how bizarre.
Super.
Is
You
that?
get so many weird messages, man. I don't even want to. honestly, I'm afraid to even mention that one individual, but you get some weird messages, dude.
Are you talking about the one who jumped ship so quick on his opinion?
I'm talking about the one who wants to wear your skin.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Mhm.
that's almost different.
It's a little different. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the one that just after the Gypsy podcast came out and said, "Oh, I was
Yeah.
wrong. I used to
Ye-
hate you, but now I heard what you had to say, and now I don't hate you
Yeah,
anymore."
this dude, Jay,
Interesting.
straight up just told me like, hey, didn't listen to the full story, and I completely hated you for the little part of the story that I did hear. But now that I know the full story, I really like you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like these are the dummies that I'm dealing with.
We're not calling him a dummy. I want to be very
Not
clear.
calling that guy a dummy, but there's dummies out there.
There's dummies out
There's
there.
just dummies out there. But how scary is it that this is what 15-year-old kids are freaking doing? Is they are just sending nasty, nasty, hateful stuff, and that's what they consider a joke? What?
I mean,
Uh,
it's not a joke. And even my niece, who's 12, said that she bumped into a girl who has, I guess the new thing is they have an account and then a bully account. So she
Yeah,
found
the
her
Finsta.
girls in her class had an account where she was posing to be a male and was just bullying everyone. And
Awesome.
it's just, but it's always the same guy. It's always the profile photo where there's no photo of their face. None of their videos have anything with them in it. So it's just them pushed out. It's them. It's a reflection of what they think of themselves. So it's interesting. But then think about this. Like you rewarded that behavior. And so with that guy, and I know it was fun, but think about the 12 people that message you say, hey, big fan, like you may not have responded to those, but for some reason we have a tendency to respond to the negativity, which is why the news is all about death and dismantling of bodies, is because unfortunately that's where we place our attention.
That is true, and it takes conscious thought to avoid doing that. That's so odd. But was Bryce, was it you I was talking about with this, that we were like, I was trying to, or maybe it was Jace, we were trying to brainstorm why that is. And I feel like whoever I was talking with was saying that maybe it's something instinctual, where just something like instinctual. Right? Where you like the bad stuff is getting your attention because like you're on the lookout for.
Well, it goes right back to
that's
the
trying to kill
beginning of
you.
this conversation. Is like the negative stuff takes up more of our bandwidth than the positive stuff. It's
Do you know why though? There's a reason.
Probably from like an evolutionary perspective. Like we don't want to get killed.
Right. That's kind of what that's I think that's what he was getting at. Yeah, it's sad and it's bizarre. I've had to really, really pay attention to my headspace when it comes to this stuff, because as my everything starts to grow and I get more and more messages and the YouTube.
Dude, you got to take the Joe Rogan approach. You can't look at any of it. You
Post and
cannot
run.
look at any of it.
Yeah.
Post and run.
No, but I feel like I'm too much in the beginning to do that. Like I don't want to I try to be part of the community. And I think it's important for me to do that as a channel that's growing. I only have 60,000 subscribers. Like I'm trying to respond to these. I feel like that's an important part of it. But
yeah, I respect that too.
the collateral damage of that is like I accidentally read like some negative stuff.
Wait. So maybe I misunderstood what you just said. So did you just say that you feel that you have to respond to the haters and the negativity as part of the community, or did I?
Oh, no.
Just respond in general.
Respond to all the nice people that are on here.
Okay.
And be a part of my own community,
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I think that's important. Maybe it's not, but I feel like people like when I do that. But then, naturally, as I'm doing it right now, I'm just trying to like scroll through comments and read comments. I haven't actually seen a negative one yet as I've been scrolling, which is great. But usually there's some really bad ones as I'm going in and trying to respond to all the nice people. I can't help but to watch or to read the bad one. I need to watch my videos. I have all these people sending me messages and commenting about about my sneezes.
Sneezes?
Well,
Yeah.
now I have to watch you sneeze. Please sneeze.
No, well, apparently I must have sneezed in this. I must have sneezed really dramatically in this video because somebody commented, they go, typical motocross rider sneezes. Ah, my back. And then somebody on Instagram just sent me a meme about sneezing. And I was just reading it, wondering what the heck that meant when you sneeze in your 30s and you sneeze the wrong way. Oh, interesting. But
Well,
as I make that
if there's
point,
anybody still listening out there,
nobody's listening.
by this time, somebody's either
nobody.
fallen asleep with the AirPods in, or
So,
their phone is
wake up-
broken and won't
wake up.
pause.
Wake up. Yeah. Your shift's almost over.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm trying to
Poor
find a negative
listeners.
comment, guys. I want to read one for you.
I could send you one real quick. I have a lot to say.
Wow, I got to put my phone down. There's so many.
So I'm curious, what you guys did a whole podcast and never recorded it. Was there like one topic or one thought or one conversation that maybe we haven't touched upon that you're like, oh, that kind of was gold and kind of cool?
Yes.
Just to kind of bring some life back to it.
Yes. And I'm running short of time, so I'm going to make this my last thing, if that's okay. We talked about, and it goes back to one of your questions you just asked AJ, and what right back to where we were just at is AJ and I were talking about the pressure that he sometimes feels from fans who are very well intentioned and they want to see him do well, but the words they use, for example, oh, tonight's your night. I hope you make the main. I want to see you in the main. You got to get in the main. That type of feedback, while completely positive and they're a fan, they want to see him do well, translates into negativity and pressure on him to perform and reach a goal that might not necessarily be his goal for the weekend. And I thought that was like kind of an epiphany moment for him. I don't know if he'd thought about it before this, but AJ, maybe you should elaborate. You have goals for your season for each weekend, and your barometer for the success of the weekend is not your placement on the track. And when you get the feedback about making mains and tonight's your night, which I'm guilty of doing to you all the time as well, that does not necessarily translate into, wow, I'm gonna do better because of everybody behind me.
Well stated, by the way. You just explained that really well.
Thank you. I had an entire episode to prepare for it.
Yes, we've done this before, haven't we? Yeah, I find myself feeling like I need to explain my situation, not my situation, like my thought process behind it sometimes, which I guess I don't have to explain it, but I find myself explaining it often when I'm like, listen, making the main is not my goal. Not that it's not my goal. You know, like if I accomplish my goal to my full capability, the main event will naturally happen. But the main event placement isn't my goal. It's not. No result based. I don't have a result based goal this year. I think that's something Jay and I work towards. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the word goal and also hear the word motocross, they don't think that there's a goal that exists that isn't a placement goal. Right? I think that's just how the average person would work. Like, oh, what's your goal for tonight? Well, my goal is to get 10th. My goal is to do this, to get 5th, to get 1st, to get 2nd.
It's so foolish because it's just not replicable. You know, like it drives me insane. And I don't understand either why we're so outcome based. I don't know why, but it's like, you got to do the process. You got to think of like, the feelings that you had, the attitude, the effort. That's all something you can replicate in the future. But like, let's say like one of these tracks, let's say that Atlanta 1 is your type of track. Okay, now all of a sudden, let's say you get into the main. Now all of a sudden, but you didn't ride that great. You rode okay, because you even said A3, Arlington 3, that you felt really, really good. Well, that's replicable. You can take that momentum into your practice sessions, your next race, your next event, and it can continue through. But if you did well or didn't do well at an event, it doesn't really have any sustainability, if that makes sense. You can't do anything with it. It's just an outcome. And what if 3 guys got injured? What if someone's bike blew up? There's so many things where it's like, was it really that great of a race? Did you really ride to your potential? I think that's the thing that people don't.
You should do an experiment. This would be really interesting. You should go to an NESC race, a local NESC race, and have a notepad, have a recorder, something, and just ask the question, what's your goal for today? Don't give them any context other than just pose that one question to 100 people, 50 people, and just see what the response is. I would be willing to bet that almost every single one of their answers is a result, right? Mm-hmm. If you ask then if you went to a supercross race and you asked 50 people what their goals were, I wonder do you think it'd be the same, or do you think that there would be more people answering that question more like dynamically?
I think it'd be 98% at the NESC race, and at a pro event, 70-ish%.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be interesting to know for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just to hear some of the answers that you would get. Right. Yeah. Because you would imagine that the pros would definitely be a little bit more in tune with knowing that like it's not necessarily the smartest thing to do to have a goal based or like a result based goal. But in NESC race, you would imagine that almost nobody would know that. You shouldn't be really.
Oh, for sure. And you think about it, it's basically, you're basically saying it's conditional happiness, right? I mean, there's a condition for me to be happy. How do you know if you had a good weekend? Well, I wanted 10th and I got 11th, so it wasn't a good weekend. I wanted to get 10th or better and I got 9th, so it was a great weekend. It's like, is that really, so is the outcome? Like what, like the definition of a great weekend has to be the relationships you had, some of the stories you had, like, oh my God, I haven't seen you all season. Like, how have you been? Like, I haven't seen you since October. Like, what's new? What's the latest? I think that people definitely have their priorities, wrong. I mean, even with Instagram, how many likes you got? How many followers? I used to have an account with 68,000 followers on it. Oh, I get messages all the time. You're great. You're this, you're that, whatever. And then I'm like, where were these people when I had 5,000? It's like, they didn't care. It just, everything nowadays is who are you? What do you have? External. I want to know, are you content? Are you happy? Are you aware? Can you look at a tree and be like, damn, that's cool. I saw a picture the other day of a shark that was from, I don't know if it was from Greenland or something like that. The thing was 385 years old. I'm like, what? And when you looked at it, it kind of did look kind of old. And I'm like, I didn't even know a shark could be that old. I mean, that's cool. Like,
what's funny? When you answer a question that way too, people like, you could tell, I just get this vibe that people are like, oh, all right, man. Yeah. When somebody asks like, what's your goal for today? Oh, it's, to have fun, to just ride my best. Oh, all right, man. Okay. Yeah. All right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you were to ask somebody like, what's your goals for your vacation, Bryce? What are your goals?
I'm just gonna relax, have fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What else would your answer be? Oh, my goal is to have sex 3 times, and it's to like, no. Right.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thought so myself.
I'm glad the 3 people that hear this.
Yeah, I'm glad this came at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, only 3 people have
I'll have
through
to edit it to make that the opening comment.
Yeah, I even got frustrated at one point where I went kind of rogue on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook for a while, but I kind of went rogue where I was like, wow, everyone's posting their best self. And all these photos, like there were a couple friends I had that, oh my God, it was so bad. Like everything they posted was too perfect. I'm like, come on. So I got pissed. So I literally would go to the dump twice a week. And the only posts I would have, I would do a selfie at the dump with like, I'd make sure it was like the nastiest photo. Then I intentionally went to Wendy's. I took a picture of the nuggets I got. And actually it was pretty cool because when I did, I paid for 6 and I actually counted and there were 7. So I'm like, it actually turned out great. But I was like, hey, here's a picture of me with my $2,000 car in front of Wendy's because this is the only place I can afford right now. And the picture of me smiling. And I just went rogue for like, I don't know, maybe like 2-3 weeks. And it was funny. I actually got
That's
a lot
hilarious.
of attention.
I would find that way more entertaining. That's really funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we have to go to bed now, you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's past my bedtime. I know it's past yours.
Oh, yeah. I've been sleeping the last hour of this podcast.
as most of our listeners too. Well, Jay, thank you very much for coming on and spending the evening with us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and your advice is honestly priceless. So
Thanks.
we need to steer everybody we can to your direction. And if I weren't broke for having one kid and another on the way, I'd be splurging on your services as well. Although you do, honestly, that is a cop out because you do have to look at it as an investment in yourself, right? And if you could be 1% better. And I'm giving myself advice because of your advice, Jay. You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I see it. I like it.
If you could be 1% better at work and make 1% more money, I mean, that investment's going to pay off. So.
Yeah, 1% every day over 365 days is 37% improvement overall.
Perfect.
That's the math.
What? 1% a day? Wouldn't that be
365?
You would think, but if you do the math, I checked it and I'm like, that's
really?
Yeah.
1% better every day. So if you started out at 10, 1% on day 1 is 11. 1% of that on day. Wait, what? I have to do the math.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you do the math, you'll see.
Really?
Okay. I mean, this is a hillbilly podcast. I don't think we should talk about math. There's only 3 people listening.
Hillbilly? I'm offended.
Well, it's motocross. Like, I mean, I live on an old retired farm. Didn't you grow up a little hillbilly?
That's true. I live in
a
battlefield in Virginia.
This is fierce. I mean, come on. No, but yeah, that's the math. If you look it up, you'll see.
All right.
I don't want to hurt anyone's brain with that, but yeah, that's the
I'll
truth.
believe you.
But yeah,
it's way too late for me to do math.
And for the 3 people that remain, if you want coaching, we have a private Instagram coaching group on Instagram for novice BC riders, couple A riders if you want, but it's more of like a BC rider thing. It is great. And just real quick, it's not for people that have problems, to be honest with you. The people that are in our group are high performers, but they want to perform even higher. So break the stigma. It's not so much mental skills. It's just optimizing your mindset for continued success. The people in our group have had, like, I should send you guys the messages. Like, I tear up on some of them, like, especially, oh my God, I don't know what, like the last 2 weeks. I think it's just because race season's here. Just some crazy cool stuff. Like the ultimate buzz for me, for someone who doesn't intend to have kids, it's almost like I've got like these rental children and they're killing it and I love them. And I just get so excited just to know you can have an impact on someone else's life. It's pretty cool. And AJ, you know, I don't know if you ever think about this, but you have an impact too. Like I see the look in kids' eyes when you're doing one of your camps and, you know, they get pumped. And so, you know, I appreciate you and you giving back to the sport and doing everything you can. I know it earns income and I know you can, you know, buy stuff, but the reality is you are helping people. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is awesome, huh? I always leave the classes like just feeling just buzzing. I think it's cool. It's cool.
Good job.
Well, thank you, Mr. J. Gonna have to visit you one of these days.
Yeah, whenever you want. And Bryce, hey, I know you're a long ways away. What is it, 6 miles? 6.2?
I know, isn't that something?
Oh, dude, there was a guy in a yellow bike. I saw on your Instagram that you had a yellow bike. I didn't know it.
It
Some
had to have
dude
been me.
pulled by. You don't?
No, I said it had to have been me.
Well, then I screamed your name and you didn't respond.
I
Some
well,
dude whipping by me in South Glastonbury near Charcoon, Sayulita.
yeah.
On Thursday-ish.
When did I ride? It probably was me.
Yeah, I said, Bryce!
I wear AirPods with noise canceling. The big no for
So
cycling.
dangerous.
I know. Well, I got the radar, man. The
Yeah,
radar.
that's
I got
true.
radar.
That's true.
Are you joking or are you being serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
has a- he has-
dead serious. Yeah, the emphasis on dead.
No. I have.
No, but
I
he
have,
has a
I have
radar that
rear-facing
literally-
radar.
Yeah, it tells him
It
like
tells
when
me-
a car's coming and how far behind him it is. So like,
And if there's multiple cars, and it gives me audio and visual cues, like there's pictures of cars that pop up on my GPS unit, shows how many there are, in what proximity, gives me LEDs in different colors, telling me like how fast they're approaching. So like I definitely rely on that. And it sends a visual cue to the car. So like the light that's integrated into it blinks at different frequencies, like to warn people, and it's unbelievably
that's
bright.
amazing.
So I feel
Are you
safe
guys
wearing the
messing with
AirPods.
me? Are you guys messing with me?
No. That's
No, I'm
real.
dead
I've seen it
serious.
firsthand.
Yeah,
guys are
look it
messing
up.
with
No,
me.
we're not. I don't know why I
I
keep
probably
smiling
have
like
the
that.
vibe. Hold on.
For real.
Yes.
Yeah,
hold on.
it is. And Bryce rides. So I down here, I ride only on bike paths, so I don't need it.
Yeah.
But obviously, where Bryce is, where you guys are, he rides only on roads. This thing, if you're a if you're one of the 3 listeners still remaining, and you happen to ride and you happen to go road biking, you have to get this because it is like it's a must.
What the hell? So wait, where does that device go?
That goes on the stem of his seat, and so it faces the cars, but then that sends a signal to the GPS unit on his handlebars that he looks at his speed and his heart rate and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Right, Bryce?
Yes.
And so it relays all the information to Bryce on his monitor that's on his handlebars. Where when you're riding a road bike, you're in that crouched position. You're basically staring at your monitor the whole time anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it blinks red, and then it'll blink orange, red. It'll blink like a yellow, an orange, and a red based on how fast they're approaching. So like if it blinks red, like somebody's speeding up, but it goes 300 yards back. So it detects a car very far away. And it gives you like a little proximity reading on my GPS screen. So like it'll track the car as it comes near me. So like I know based on the screen how far away it is. So at least it gives me the peace of mind where I know there's a car behind me. I'm not going to take an immediate left. I'm not going to do something stupid. It just
And you tell
prepares
Bryce how close it is to you, like if it's like getting close to the shoulder, or if you have a
No,
bunch
it doesn't
of
go. No, it doesn't go lateral. But
That'd
what
be
I
cool.
do, like when I know cars behind me, I'll look back. I'll kind of like stick my hand out. I'll like kind of make myself a little bigger, if just to limit the distraction. But the light is so damn bright that even in the day, it's ridiculously bright. You can see it very far away.
That's so cool to me. That's really cool. I
So,
have a
yeah, you
2-mile
probably did
commute
scream
now
my
to my
name,
bike
Jack.
path.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
So I need it just for that 2 mile each way that I'm not on the bike path. I want to get one.
So Jay, you probably saw me, and I definitely did not hear you. I'm in the zone.
Yeah. I ride my bicycle on the same roads you do, and I just go like this.
Yeah, but you don't wear headphones.
I don't wear a helmet. I don't wear gear. I don't. clip
Helmets are
in.
overrated. We talk about it all the time on our little Instagram group. Like all the freaking idiots.
It's totally overrated, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because if you get
Yeah.
hit, you want to just go out quick.
Oh God.
All right, we're down to 1 listener, guys. So
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God. Should we give them a prize?
Should we guess their name?
Yo, yeah, that's a great one.
It's got to be Dave Drake's the only one who listens to our podcast.
No, I've got a guess.
Okay.
I think I'm right. Jack.
A Jack?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of a specific Jack or just?
Oh
Jack?
yeah. I have a Jack that says he listens to all your podcasts. He's in my.
I'm gonna say Ted's still listening.
A Ted or the Ted?
I'm thinking of a specific one. I'm gonna say shout out Ted. So
Okay.
you're throwing a shout out to Jack?
Shout out to Jack.
Okay, Bryce, anyone you want to shout out?
It's Dave. Dave's my
Dave.
boy.
Okay, solid. Shout out Dave.
He's absolutely listening.
All right, so there's the 3 listeners.
All
Shout
right.
out Dave, Ted, and whoever the heck.
Cross that off
Jack.
the list.
We should
Can I
do
go to
this
bed
at-
now?
We should do this at
Jesus.
the end of each episode because I like that actually.
But wait,
You
is there
should.
any way that we can find out how close we were though? Wait, can you
I'm
comment?
sure we'll hear from
podcast?
Dave, Ted, or Jack if they listen to that part, right?
Pretty much.
All right, how about this?
If anybody listens to the end of this episode, please message the podcast Instagram, Behind the
Yes,
Gate
and-
Podcast.
Yep. Behind the Gate podcast.
I want to
on
know.
Instagram.
We,
We'll
we,
give you
we
a
need to
shout
give
out
it.
next
We
time.
need to. No, we're gonna send him something. We gotta send him some
you
alias.
got 25 clutch brake levers. Can't you just send one away?
Yeah, sign up
Oh,
break
yeah.
lever.
Oh my god. All right, dang it. We got to freaking wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay.
This was
That's
fun
all.
though. Maybe we should do this with the 3 of us more often or something.
Yeah,
that was
we
fun.
totally
It was
should.
fun.
All right, everybody. Thanks
Love
again,
it.
Jay.
Thank
Nice
you
to
for
meet you.
having me. Miss you
Happy
guys.
Happy Easter if you celebrate it, or
Hmm.
Happy Lil Nas X Satan Day if you
Yes.
celebrate Nikes.
In my religion, we sacrifice bunnies, so this is a big time of the year for us.
Good luck out
There
there.
you go. All right, boys. Adios.
Toodaloo.
Toodles.